All right, news just coming in. We had told you about those 5 Tamil fishermen who were released by Sri Lanka. Well, the fishermen have now been handed over to Indian authorities. They are now under the care of the Indian High Commissioner Yash Sinha. No sentence, this is what is important, will be served in Indian jails now. There's been a complete commutation of the death sentence. Deputy Editor Smita Sharma now joins me on the phone line. Smita, what this really means is, till now we believe that these Indian fishermen who are now handed back to Indian authorities would be serving their jail term perhaps in Indian jails. This means that they're ready to be released and they're free to go home.
Absolutely. The word being used here officially, in fact, is freed Vedika, which is the reason why, because while their sentences, the death sentences were commuted into a 3 years prison term, which has already been served by these fishermen. Remember, they were in fact arrested on serious charges of drug trafficking and smuggling in November of 2011. And, because it has been reduced to 3 years, they've already served, and that's why they were handed over to the Indian High Commission just some time back, in fact, a couple of hours back. They are under the care of Yash Sinha. What we are learning is shortly, in fact, the Indian High Commission will, of course, make those arrangements for them to travel back home to Rameshwaram, from where their roots lie, and where, in fact, we've seen a lot of agitations happen over the last few weeks over this issue. But at least for now, definitely, as far as the Indian government is concerned, this is one huge step, and something which will definitely have an impact, given the fact that Mahinda Rajapaksa is also expected to meet Narendra Modi headlines of the SAARC summit in Kathmandu towards the end of this month.
Well, a major diplomatic win for the Indian government. All 5 Tamil fishermen on death row in Sri Lanka have been released. Smita is still on the phone line with us. Smita, you were telling us how the death sentence has been commuted. These 5 fishermen are now ready to be released and will be coming home to their loved ones. This is in fact a double victory for the Indian government in a way.
See, Vedika, in fact, yesterday itself, if you remember, we were the first ones to report, in fact, that the counsels of these Indian fishermen, they had withdrawn, their appeal against the Colombo court verdict in a court of appeal, and which was a sign enough that very soon, perhaps, Mahinda Rajapaksa was going to exercise the executive authorities vested in his office. It was also his birthday yesterday, so it has absolutely happened the way, we did this. Also, Government of India really has been backing these fishermen, while of course evidence, the so-called evidence which was presented during the Colombo court trial, they claimed that this was the first time that GPS evidence in a way had been used. They were concrete evidences, because remember, in this case itself, there were 3 other Sri Lankan citizens also who had been given the same death sentence. But Indian government had maintained that these fishermen were innocent, that the government was absolutely putting its force behind them. So clearly this has worked out as a win-win situation right now for the government.
Smita, do stay with me. We also have editor South T.S. Sudhir joining me live. Sudhir, any reaction from the Tamil parties yet?
Well, obviously all the political parties in Tamil Nadu are extremely delighted, because as you know, ever since the death sentence was announced by the Sri Lankan court, there have been many protests in different parts of Tamil Nadu, Rameshwaram and Chennai in particular. So there was an effort to put pressure on the NDA government to use its diplomatic offices to mount pressure on the Rajapaksa government that they should free these 5 Tamil fishermen. Obviously a lot of behind the scenes diplomacy, as Smita was pointing out, has been taking place over the past many weeks, resulting in the release of the 5 Tamil fishermen. So by the very fact that over the next 24 to 48 hours they will actually land back in Tamil Nadu is going to be a huge victory, and that is something which many Tamil political parties as well as the NDA government would definitely like to take credit for. Vedika?
Also, Sudhir, would you see this as a thaw in ties between the Tamil parties, the Indian government as well as Sri Lanka, especially between the Modi government and Sri Lanka over this one contentious issue, which is our fishermen who are arrested by the Lankan security forces?
Well, it's a stark difference between the approach of the previous UPA government and the NDA government, because many times in the past, in fact, the DMK had severed its ties with the Congress party in the UPA over the issue of Sri Lanka and the manner in which the Indian government was dealing with Sri Lanka. Now the manner in which the NDA government has been able to use its good offices to ensure the release of these 5 Tamil fishermen definitely is going to be a huge shot in the arm, a political shot in the arm for the BJP in particular, because it will actually go to the people saying that they were able to manage which the Congress was not able to manage in the past, and something which the Tamil parties have been only paying lip service to. So obviously it's going to have a deep political impact on the politics of Tamil Nadu after the release of these 5 fishermen.
TS, they do stay with me. A lot of reactions also coming in. Let's cut across. All right, so those 5 Indian fishermen, P. Emerson, P. Augustus, R. Wilson, K. Prasad and J. Lanklet, who were facing the death charge, which was handed over to them on 30th of October by the Colombo High Court. Well, now that is a thing of the past. It's a huge diplomatic win for India. These 5 fishermen are coming home. Shrisha Reddy now joins me live from Chennai. Shrisha, when do we expect these 5 fishermen to get into Tamil Nadu?
Well, Vedika, they'll have to. There are a lot of other procedures that have to be followed now that they have been handed over to our Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Yasinha. They'll have to now. There are a lot more legal procedures that they should follow before they travel to Rameshwaram. So remember, there have been a series of protests that Tamil Nadu has been witnessing, not only in Chennai but also in their hamlet Rameshwaram, where people took onto streets to protest. But now it's a huge, huge relief for all these fishermen families, including the fishermen themselves, that they're going to finally come back home because since 2011 they have been lodged in the Sri Lankan prison.
Also, what are the reactions coming in from the Tamil parties as we speak, Shrisha?
Vedika, of course, Tamil parties see this as a huge victory for them because remember they have been staging a protest right outside the Sri Lankan Deputy High Commission. DMK was also asking the centre to intervene through the legal channels, and AIDMK government, the ruling government, also said they would give 20 lakh assistance to pursue with the legal case. So yes, all the political parties see this as a victory, huge victory, that they have been trying to put pressure, including the NDA allies, MDMK chief Vaiko and PMK also staged a protest. Remember, they were protests, and Vaiko had accused Modi government for not doing enough, for not bringing the fishermen back. So that is one reason that why after they put the pressure, that is when Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to the Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapakse, and since then the process started flowing in. So yes, now they see it as a huge relief. It's something that they have been waiting for, since the time the Sri Lankan High Court has said that all 5 fishermen will be sentenced to death.
TS, it's also interesting, and it will be interesting rather to see how and if Tamil parties claim credit for the release of these 5 fishermen, which is actually a huge diplomatic win for India.
We'll take this as a credit because of us, we have been putting a pressure on the centre, asking the Modi government to take some action to pursue through the legal channels. Remember, every day there was a protest since the time they had said that these 5 Indian fishermen will be sentenced to death. Tamil Nadu was facing a lot of protests in terms of be it the civil rights activists, be it the political parties themselves, taking a very hard stand on the centre, because they have also been, and it's a long standoff between India and Sri Lanka if you take that into consideration. And the pro-Tamil groups also claim that Tamil Nadu has been neglected, the fishermen issue has been neglected for a very long time. In fact, in the last 30 years, according to these pro-Tamil groups, at least 600 fishermen have been killed by the Lankan Navy. And this is one of the false cases that were foisted against these 5 Indian fishermen who were charged on drug trafficking cases, which is in terms of, and not just 5 Indian fishermen, 3 Sri Lankan fishermen were also being taken as far as this particular case is concerned. But yes, the political parties in Tamil Nadu, coming back to your question, that they are taking a credit for this particular move by the Sri Lankan government.
Also, I believe TS Sudhir is still with us. TS, if you can hear me, my next question is based on the political equations within Tamil Nadu and whether they will really admit to the fact that this was a diplomatic win for the Indian government, or whether this will be a fight within the Tamil parties to claim credit over the return of those 5 Indian fishermen.
Well, 2 things here, Vedika. The Sri Lankan government, the Sri Lankan issue has never been an election issue in Tamil Nadu. So to what extent 2016 elections will actually see this prominently as an election issue is quite debatable. But having said that, now it will be very difficult for all the Dravidian parties in Tamil Nadu to actually make a villain out of the Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapakse, given the fact that he has managed to actually commute the sentence, ensure the release of the 5 Tamil fishermen. Also, interestingly, Vaiko has called for celebrating the birth anniversary of Prabhakaran, the former LTTE chief, sometime next week. So given this kind of a situation, it will be very difficult for him actually to go ahead, and what kind of a reaction the NDA government takes to something like this will be interesting to watch, because the Sri Lankan government will also expect some kind of a quid pro quo from the NDA government, that in return for this kind of a gesture from the Sri Lankan president, they would expect that he is not made a villain out there in the land of Tamil Nadu.
Also, TS, how long do you expect the entire process and procedure to take for the Indian fishermen, the 5 of them, to return back to Tamil Nadu?
Well, technically, now that they are being handed over to the Indian High Commission, they are no longer prisoners in Sri Lanka. So in that sense, the first step has been achieved. As soon as all the paper formalities are taken care of, remember, they're already spent about 3 years in prison since their arrest in 2011. So in that sense, the sentence is over. They are in the custody of the High Commission there in Colombo, and it's only a matter of time. Once the paper formalities are finished, they will be flown to Chennai, and from there on, they will be taken to their home in Rameshwaram, and probably in a few days' time, we will see them back in their role as fishermen on the Tamil Nadu coast.
All right, Smita is also with us on the phone line. Smita, what's the latest details that you have with you? We're being told that it's only a matter of procedure before these Indian fishermen return to Tamil Nadu.
Absolutely, as in fact TS mentioned that, the Indian High Commission protocol-wise, of course, is the Indian soil in Sri Lanka in a way. So that's why what we are saying is that these Indian fishermen have been freed. But what is more important, Vedika, here is, the largest issue of fishermen that still remains a sticking point in a way between relationship, and every now and then we see this controversy. While for now, of course, this crisis in a way has been managed, has been contained, in Sri Lanka really since 1976, there was no death sentence that has been executed. In the past also we have seen when 2 Indians have been sentenced to death, Rajapaksa had exercised his executive authorities, and their sentences were commuted in fact to life imprisonment. They were then repatriated and they served out their remaining sentences in Indian jail. One of them is still in jail. One had, of course, walked out of the jail last year after having served out his sentence. But yesterday the Fishermen Association's president also had called upon the External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj in New Delhi in the evening here. So the larger issue really, whether they should continue to be used as instruments of politics is something where I think we all also need to think about, because that is what is seen that instead of treating this as a humanitarian or as a strictly legal issue, and a lot of times they are used for scoring political brownie points, both when you look at relationship between India and Pakistan or India and Sri Lanka. So will that change under the current government? It's something we'll have to wait and watch out for.
Also, any word coming in from the Ministry of External Affairs, Smita?
Not so far really. I did try and get a reaction out of Sushma Swaraj yet. Also remember, the Prime Minister's entourage still not arrived back, and the External Affairs spokesperson is there. But clearly, India, of course, will handle this development.
All right, Smita Sharma, T.S. Sudhir and Shisha Reddy, thank you so much for joining us on that big developing story. All eyes will be on when these 5 fishermen on your screens return to Tamil Nadu. It's only a matter of time, is what our reporters are telling.